I won't throw you under the bus alone. I'll ask some of the other panelists what their opinions are. We're not hearing very much on this, so.
I don't think I remember everything I said. So I'll just say, I'm not a politician, I'll answer what I want to answer.
That's awesome. That's what I was expecting to see.
But how they started that was interesting. Education was such a big slice of that. And education in Florida, as you know, is done by our school districts. And we have elected officials on our school districts. We elect them on a local basis in order to make those decisions. And I think it really illustrates what I was going to say, and that is that the state legislature has been very overwhelming with the local government kind of discretion in many areas in the state of Florida. This is not unusual. A lot of states like to tell on local governments. If you hear about the state legislators, they complain about federal mandates, but they don't hear anything about local mandates that they have. In fact, with the local governments. But it is really important, and it's especially important because of the economic situation here that they talk about. Because if the state legislature can speak to local governments and say, and not have to even pay for the problem themselves, and that's wonderful. And they've done that in the school districts, for example, that they won't fund mandates, and then they will cut the ability of local governments and school districts to actually fund property taxes. Because they've done time after time after time. And then what that means is the state legislature can decide how to fund your property taxes, but in fact, it doesn't affect the state budget, state revenues at all. So what we've seen in Florida, we've seen a lot of blame casting. The states blame local governments, they stick local governments with a lot of mandates and they don't pay them. The Amendment 2 is one of those mandates, basically. Amendment 2 basically says, and makes a lot of sense in the surface of it, if you're deployed in the armed services, in action, in Iraq or Afghanistan, or wherever, in action, then you are not liable to pay property taxes for the period of time that you're deployed. Makes sense, right? It's just nice little things. Of course, I'll support these people in doing it, but of course, it's one of these issues because it doesn't affect the state at all, because the state doesn't collect property taxes. So the state then says, okay, local governments, it's going to cost about $13 million, which is a huge amount of money. But again, it's the same kind of principle where the state is saying we want to reduce the local government ability to tax their properties. There's some other equity issues related to this one as well, and the idea is that if you're serving abroad, the state of, live in the state of Florida, you're serving in Iraq, you have to be a renter, you're out of luck. So there are lots of equity issues. What's deployed? Okay, if you have to be shot at, what if you're stationed abroad? There are lots of issues related to this amendment, which sounds really good, but there's some real problems related to it. So to me, this amendment is really an illustration again of how the state is saying to local governments, we'll cut your property taxes because you don't need it anyway. And the problem with that, I don't have property taxes either. Although I moved here from Michigan, so I'm not as anti-property taxes because my taxes went down when I moved here. But the issue is that we have local government for a reason. And local government is the government that's closest to the people. And if we don't like what local governments are doing, we go to my office. We know these guys, we see them in meetings, we're much more attentive to them. And so what my concern is in my area is that we're undoing local government, but in fact, it should be local government's decision whether they raise taxes or cut property taxes, or they decide to keep the way to what you're serving them.
Carol, I don't think we can politicians do forget Garnley on that. Thank you very much. Let me actually tell you what Amendment 2 says. Amendment 2 on the ballot actually says, the title is Homestead Ad Valorem Tax Credit for Deployed Military Personnel. And I'll go ahead and make a quick reference that in your seat, if you're here and on the radio audience, you can access the League of Women Voters voting guide at voteanywhere.org, or you can access the Collins Center's analysis of the proposed amendment at www.flamendments.org. That's flamendments.org. What the Amendment 2 would do would instruct the legislature to enact an additional homestead exemption for Florida homeowners on active military service outside of the country. The amount of the tax rate would be based on the amount of time served overseas in previous years. So basically, a yes vote on this would require the legislature to provide additional homestead property tax exemptions for members of the military. A no vote would not authorize the additional homestead exemption. The legislature cannot actually then provide this exemption because of the way our Constitution is written. There's some analysis in here. It says, for example, while it's indeterminate over the long term, in the first year that would have been approximately $13 million. But Amendment 2 is not getting a lot of attention. It is one of those things that you will have to vote on if you actually get to that part of the ballot. And I certainly encourage you to go through the ballot. Any other additional comments on Amendment 2? Yeah, thank you, Ted.
Sure. Emotionally, I look at this amendment, I really don't support it, because our service men and women have been stretched to the limit over the last 3 years with what they've had to do over in Iran, Afghanistan, Iraq. So on that side of it, I don't really support it. On the other side of it, the average home price in the state of Florida has fallen 40% over the last 3 years, somewhere from around $250,000 to about $133,000, $135,000, $136,000. That 40% decline is going to be reflected in property tax revenues, which we just heard about, primarily from education and local services. So the reality, although it is only $13 million, that's dropping the bucket in spectrum things, the reality is it's another drop in that bucket that's getting a lot more drops this year and over the next few years than we've seen in a long time.
Thanks. Kurt, did you want to make a comment?
Sure. Property taxes in Florida are really messed up. The whole system's been messed up for some time. It's unfair. This will, can really add up. It adds another wrinkle to it. Certainly, it's something that we want to support. It's a small amount of money. $13 billion. It's probably going to be less than that because that was based on last year. There's going to be less people forward in the future, hopefully. But still, and one thing I kind of disagree with what's been said about it, it's not really, I don't think it's going to cost local governments, whatever it is, $13 billion. It's going to shift it to everybody else. So that's really the question you have to ask. You have to remember there's two parts to property taxes. It's the value of your home and the millage rates. And generally what we saw was all you Save Our Homes. Save Our Homes didn't cost local governments any money. What it did is it cost people who were non-homestead people money. This now that with everybody's value dropping a lot, you might see that the value of your home is dropping, but your taxes are going up. That's because of the glitch that says it still goes up by 3% of inflation if you're still under the cap. So really what you see is the property tax burden being shifted around, and then that got kicked off the ballot was going to be more of that. So really you've got to ask yourself, say $10 million out of a $30 billion property tax pie, that $10 million is going to be really end up being paid by everybody else. So you have to decide, it's less than 1/10 of 1% of the total property taxes in the state. So you're going to have to ask yourself if you think that's worth it for the service people to have an opportunity. It could help. There's a question about might be unfair if it's something for homeowners and then the renters and others don't get something. But home ownership is one of the keys to America, and it might help more people achieve that. So, from pure tax policy position, it's probably not the best, but it's certainly not anything for tax objection.
Allison, you look like you're itching to comment on that one too.
It seems to me to be a totally appropriate thing to do, and I would be amazed if it gets less than 85%.
Well, Tom, you're here with the great panel of the Village Square Takeout Tuesday, and we're discussing constitutional amendments. For those of you who are ready, thank you so much for being here with us as well. If there are any questions in the audience, feel free to write them on sheets, or we'll come to the amendments here. Okay, got one question here.
Just today I read a note from Herodotus talking about the source of one of the amendments we talked about last week. And I think that adds a lot to the decision. It's very difficult to listen to both sides as they come down on which side you want to come in on. But I thought it was helpful to understand where the amendment came from. So was this something that came from the legislature in the way of maybe avoiding a tax increase by passing it down to the counties, or?
No, my sense is that others have thought about this, well, I think the legislature did put it on the ballot, so we know that for sure. My sense is it was basically, I think it was a constituent or somebody who came in and said, this will be a good idea, we can reward somebody who's doing service to their country, and this is the way to do it. But I think your point is really a good one. I would have thought that this innocuous amendment would have had this discussion around it. But I think it's a good one because, a lot of these, I don't think anybody thought more generally about what is the impact of this. Is this part of the trend that we really want to stop? And it's not just the Florida legislature, the Congress does that all the time too. Constitutional comes up with a good idea, let's put it in place, and nobody really thinks about the consequences.
Got another question here.
Does anybody know which of the counties will be most affected by this amendment too? It seems that counties with a very high number of military personnel might as well have unintended consequences. That will the government being very supportive of the troops, but also have to take a very serious hit in taxes. If anybody knows what the ramifications might be.
I haven't seen data about how it's spread out, but you're right, it's going to be bigger in the
Okay, one more question in the back.
My question has to do with the wording on this amendment. It talks about active duty outside of the continental U.S. Alaska and Hawaii. It seems to apply to anybody stationed anywhere overseas, Germany, anywhere else, rather than just people who are in harm's way. And in any case, if the military operation designated by the legislature, so we leave it to the legislature to pick who they want to get this to. It seems like it's something we really don't want them to have the power to do.
And in fact, the link with another article, it shouldn't be in the Constitution in the first place. Even if you wanted to do it, you could do it by statute. But you're correct, the statute put that, there's going to be statutory language that really defines it. Should Allison be correct, she probably is, and we'll pass over.
That was an interesting number of stickers about the legislature being controlled by the president.
One last question.
My question is, go down to section G. It says that the ratio that you're working with, which is number of days, of course, that you wear, what gives you just fairness against days. So if you're there the full time, you get 100% exemption. Does this say that you get 100% exemption? They say it's based on the taxable value. Are we intending to get more than double his current homestead exemption? Or we're going to give him full exemption?
It could be full exemption. If they're there for a year, they would have to pay no tax.
Is that the intent?
Is that the intent? Was that followed?
Yes, that was the intent. It's not just to double the homestead for military, it's actually to prorate depending on how much they're for the year they retire back in the spring.
Well, this has been fantastic. A lot of discussion on the amendment that most of us haven't even heard about. But you can find out more at voteanywhere.org.